Perfect. Sweet.
Alexander, thank you for being here.
Yeah, for sure. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Well, this episode, I believe, episode 6, and welcome back to another episode of Adventure Culture. And we're here with Alexander, which is a co-founder at the University of Waterloo as well. Just wanted to ask a little bit, what's a piece of your background that would help me understand kind of like where you're at right now and what you've been doing?
Yeah, sure. So I guess I'm originally from Calgary, Alberta. Came to Waterloo, I think largely for like the velocity entrepreneurship ecosystem stuff. That was like the biggest draw for me when I was looking at universities in Canada. And so I came to Waterloo. Right now I'm in 3A student, so going into third year in computer engineering.
Yep.
And then I guess only recently kind of, or like over the last year, got involved largely in the innovation ecosystem stuff here. Previously, like when I first started, it was over COVID and we didn't really have like, there was like a Zoom call, but there wasn't much going on. And so it's been kind of the last year since stuff started to open up more than I are involved in that type of thing. I started getting involved in this Velocity Digital space on campus, which was like a co-working space for companies and like people trying to start companies with like digital technology, computer stuff, hardware, all that fun stuff. And so I started kind of there, and then I slowly got involved in like UW startups and Socratic and a bunch of the other kind of stuff around the school. And then I met my co-founder, Luca, who was in the same course in computer engineering alongside me, and we both were super interested in like starting a company. And we kind of batted around a bunch of stuff. We initially started out with computing. So our first thing was like, we both shared an interest in distributed systems and computer stuff. I had always in the past worked with like, networking stuff. I'd like servers in my house, all that type of stuff. He did distributed system research at the university and just like, so we kind of bonded over that. Started working on that problem. And then that kind of slowly morphed into telecom. And then after we worked on telecom for about 4 months, before we kind of hit a wall, where in telecom, we were trying to build this distributed network, and we found out that like the current technologies that exist in networking just kind of suck. Like they're not very sustainable right now. Most of them rely on trust. So building what we wanted to build wouldn't work because eventually parent trust everywhere that was targeted. And we just kind of got fed up. And at the same time, we were tasked because we were like the de facto startup team that was doing network stuff. Start there. The space we were working asked us to start building out the network flat space. And so we got asked to do that. We were already fed up to networking, and that process is brutal and terrible. And so then we kind of morphed into what we are today, and starting Cosine Networks.
Okay.
And yeah, that's kind of where we're at now. And I guess over the last like 3-4 months, I've been working full time on Cosine Networks now. My co-founder is still in computer engineering, but like basically working full time as well.
Right.
And then yeah, it's been fantastic.
I see you guys at the office literally every single time that
Yeah, we've been back when I was still a full-time student, I kind of morphed my schedule into working from an office, and then now that I'm working full-time, that's basically all I did.
you just kept going with the habit. So you guys basically had an interest for entrepreneurship and then just met each other. So you found your founder first and then just bounced off ideas until something kind of like...
Yeah, basically. I mean, we both had this idea, like we should start a company. We knew some friends that had as well. So one of our friends and started a company, raised capital, was doing pretty well.
Right.
And that was time to we could do that. It was so much fun. And then, so we started bouncing a few things. And I don't think like necessarily bounced off ideas, but each one kind of gave us more knowledge and insight that kind of pushed us to the next spot.
Right.
And so we kind of settled on something that we thought really had a lot of traction and could grow.
I see. Well, was it hard to quit those first ideas that you guys had and worked so hard for, like the first ones,
Yeah, I mean, it's like bittersweet, right? Like sometimes I still think a lot about the telecom thing. I still really care about that problem. Because it's like in Canada, we free telecom providers, they control everything.
Yes.
And so I shouldn't say too much till we talk to someone too, but I still feel like that's something at some point I'd love to deal with. But it was kind of where we hit a wall, and I remember walking home with Luca one night, and it was like, we're not going to make any progress on this issue now. So we either pivot and work on something that we can work to change the underlying technology, and then at some point that might bring us back to where we were.
Yeah.
Or we kind of skip up. So yeah, it's kind of bittersweet, but I think like you have to find something that you love doing, but also like that's going to work.
I see.
And so by moving into this space, we still were working with the technology we loved, and we got the chance to build something that is really usable that people are going to be able to use and play with.
And how come you ended up going into entrepreneurship rather than what a lot of people in your career, in your program do, which is just getting a sweet job at a big corporation and just kind of like enjoy, be a Google headquarters, just
Yeah.
meal breaks.
No, I know. I don't know. I hate that. Like, it's. I know that you're coming from, this GBDA background, right? But from the engineering side, like that's so many of our classmates' aspirations.
Right.
And I don't know. I really never wanted to, like. I think it's sweet. I love tech, and I love the opportunity to work in tech. But I never would want to do it for the sake of like trying to find a nice sustainable career. I always wanted to do it because I want to build something I really care about.
You like the challenge.
When I came to Waterloo, I never came to it from the expectation of like, I want to be able to go up and go into a good, solid career.
Right.
Personally, it's always kind of been my thought of like, the thing that you're going to pick as your career is what you're going to spend most of your life doing.
Yeah.
And like, it's really important to settle in on something that you really, really care about. So that was kind of my thought process. I don't know. I think there's a wider discussion there too about like why so many people now in universities are like solely seeking engineering, specifically like computer electrical engineering, and just like, especially at Waterloo, where it's just, there is this amazing community of entrepreneurship and like building things and trying things. But I think there's a lot of people that are also very, very committed to just doing the bare minimum and getting as build up as good, like as a reputation as they can to get into a tech job.
Right.
I really think it's kind of changed. I think they experience the other side of like doing this stuff and learning things because I want to build on it. I think they'd love that more,
Right.
and it would push them farther out of their career aspirations as well.
I mean, you're smart enough. Those type of programs, you can build a lot of exciting things.
Yeah, there's so much people could do. I mean, like when we do Socratica or some of these like groups at Waterloo that look at what people are making, there's so many people are building so many cool things. It's too bad that it's not them. It's like about like it's not the wire.
Yeah.
It's not the wire thing. And I hope that at some point it seems like it's picking up traction. I hope it becomes more than art.
Yeah. And I was just listening to some type of podcast or show, and the guy he asked in the crowd like who worked for like Google or something, or Microsoft, and one guy worked for 5 years in one little feature for some type of software that they had, and he was just hoping that it would never get released. Like
This is you work on it forever.
yeah, I enjoying the nice paycheck and stuff, but never really like building anything, which I don't know. I kind of found, sad. But
I don't know. It's unfortunate. I mean, if there's nothing to be said about getting a solid, obviously it's important to get a solid career, but I think like there's a lot of opportunities, and like something that's important here. Like we need people to work at big tech, but there's a lot of opportunities in tech to do things that are still pretty safe and actually give you opportunity to really like make a difference or build something awesome. Yeah. And at least do something well. Like I know, I was talking to Ellie from Neo was over at Hackmore and listened to his talk. He was talking about like, especially in startups, there's this thing where like a lot of people look at startups from the outside and think where it's like a high risk thing that building a business, you're like, oh, if you like to do stuff. But especially with engineering, the stats are not that risky. Like for companies with like co-founders that are what you're doing that are coming from like good background and stuff, especially with venture-backed startups, it's only like 1 in 3 that fail. This is me passing along stats I heard for someone else, obviously, but like it's not that 1 in 10, like 1 in 10 businesses succeed thing is looking at like all small businesses, which that includes like opening up a coffee shop, right? Other things, and so when you get into the point of like tech, the risk is not quite as bad.
Yeah.
Especially now when you're getting venture capital largely. So like, it's not really a self-influence. It's not like you're personally losing stuff. You're losing investor money.
Right.
Those investors usually calculate that some companies are going to fail, and most of them are usually pretty understanding as long as you're not like deliberately driving yourself into the ground. They're usually pretty open to like reinvesting in you at a future venture, even if one failed, or helping you pivot. And then like in the worst case, most of the time when companies fail, the co-founders just get hired by other company because they have the wealth of experience. So it's not like, I think people really underestimate or really overestimate the risk.
There is. No, you're totally right. It personally blew my mind coming to Waterloo and learning about all these people applying already for VC money, and getting huge investment and getting backed like that. Because from all the experience that I've had to do it all from my own pocket, and in Colombia, like it's very little companies that actually have that type of investment. most people have to go to a bank, have to go to other like loan, some type of loan systems. But yeah, so when you get backed by VCs or investors' money, you for sure have so much more fuel to run.
Yeah.
Where you want to go, right?
No, and I mean, obviously that's like not the norm, right? Like to be clear, a majority of small businesses are,
Of course,
you know, bootstrapping stuff. But it's if you're in an opportunity where you're at a top university, like which admittedly is not a lot of people, but if you're in that group, I think you should try to take the most advantage of what you have, because you really have this opportunity to do something really impactful. And realistically, like in terms of your career, you're probably going to always be just as far ahead, if not farther.
Right.
I like honestly don't go, drop out of school and chase after something for 4 years that goes nowhere. But like if you can start to kind of work on a side hobby and stuff, and if you are able to go run after it, I think that's not a bad decision. Like,
No. And I feel like especially in the world of tech, you can, in the worst case scenario that it doesn't go too well, you can pivot into getting to another startup, as you said, right? If you get hired, you showcase your talent very well, so you can actually just move around. And
yeah, I think a lot of people funnel into big tech and they steer away from trying something all their own first.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's necessarily like, yeah, I mean, when we started doing this, a lot of friends around us were like going up to us and like, oh my God, you guys must be like, this is such a big risk. But from our perspective, it never felt like a risk. I mean, you were basically spending our free time doing a cool side project.
Right.
Realistically, we would have spent our free time building cool stuff anyway. And so that didn't really matter. And then when we had to go up to Euro kind of full time, it's like weighing the pros and cons between, from a resume perspective and stuff, what does it look like having a co-op term at a company versus having a co-op term building some cool stuff? And they're about the same. Like, I think it would be amazing as more people went down that route.
Right.
I don't think it's something that unfortunately is accessible to a lot of people either.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I think like,
I usually
yeah,
got to know about computer science or, these type of problems super late in life. Like when I was in grade 12 and my marks were already not good enough for me to even try. But I feel like nowadays people are actually starting to code and stuff when they're
there's way more
experience.
there's a lot of pushing with like our code and some of that stuff. A lot of people are starting earlier. And I really think us coding is starting with this idea of like trying to build something that you want to build and like experimenting with doing other stuff and kind of thinking about the box and not just like following everything to try to get into it. Or
I was gonna ask you what's been like the hardest thing you've had to do for your company or your program so far?
That's a good question. The hardest challenges I've had, there's definitely kind of on both sides. Like, so from a school perspective, I mean, engineering's tough.
Right.
It's been like, and they're both kind of similar. I feel there's both a lot of ups and downs, and like both of them, like they kind of, you're kind of generally moving in like a steady rate, but in both like school and with the startup especially, it's like feels like a bit of sunny there. It's very turbulent, even though they're kind of typically going in the same trajectory. I think from school, I had some of our courses in like first year were a big shock, especially because we had the pandemic, so we were online when I started. And so I'm like, that made people got a great base level understanding. I remember specifically an RDNM course, which was like one of the hardest courses that we took for that semester. We started the first half of the course online, but it taught us all the underlying math that was necessary in the course. And so no one really got a great handle on it. And then when the person moved in person for the first exam, everyone had like, I think we had a 35 average on our midterm. Like it was just brutal because nobody had any foundational knowledge. So that was probably the worst experience so far for, not worst, I mean, it was a learning experience, the like, most challenging thing in undergrad. In terms of the startup, I don't know, I had the hardest thing of building the company is just in like dealing with the ups and downs and like rapid changes. Like especially recently when going through fundraising stuff, and it's like, you go from like, wow, everything's amazing, a bunch of you large to, oh, somebody said no. Oh, like, it's just, you kind of, you can oscillate, especially when you're not on a lot of sleep. You've been, working super hard for like 3 weeks and kind of super run down from a sprint. You can oscillate between thinking like, this is going to be the best idea ever, and like, wow, nobody likes this, I should just give up. Like,
yeah, you get like 3 wins and then 2 losses, and then you just keep.
Yeah, and you like progress forward, but it's like, the progression's like either with the craziest, like everything's going amazing, or like there's just a law of like nothing.
Yeah, or something just like a bunch of like little wins that you need to like count on, and you're like, am I going in the right direction?
Yeah, I can only imagine it gets so much more sporadic. Like right now, we're only at the beginning of this, right? And it's already like crazy. I can only imagine as time goes on how much more crazy it gets.
Right. And you've had to manage people already so far, right? Like,
Yeah, we had 2 co-ops. Not this semester, we're going to have one. Previously, we had people,
okay.
which was also, that's like another thing we're trying to figure that out.
Another challenge. And
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where we were told. So the reason we have no co-ops right now is because when we first started, I was a Kickstarter, and we were told by almost all of our advisors and people in our circles, don't hire people. Like it's not a good idea to hire people at this point.
right.
And I was stubborn, and I had a bunch of friends that were asking me, please, can we work for you? Because like co-op market was terrible. No, the employment rate was like 50%. So like nobody experienced their jobs. So people, like all my friends that come like, hey, can I please work for you? And I said, well, all these people want to work for us. I'm like, yeah, like maybe it's a bit early, but like, why don't we fly? But we can house it. And then I found out pretty quickly that anyone that had told me not to hire people was right.
Okay.
And it was just, and so yeah, then we decided this semester to not hire anyone. We probably will next semester, but it was like, we took a break to get more stuff figured out.
Right.
I think it's just for the point we're at, we didn't have the systems and stuff in place to effectively move people in the right direction.
Right.
We weren't 100% settled on the product. And so we ended up like not, I don't think, none of it is complete waste, but it was just most of my, like the time I spent managing people and teaching them what they needed to know, like helping them like move in the correct direction was more time than it would have taken to just do the thing I wanted to do myself.
Yeah, might as well just do it yourself.
Which I think, yeah, it's weird because it feels like, oh, you get exponentially more powerful as you bring people on.
No.
But there's definitely that point where that makes sense. And like, if you do it too early, you just end up basically wasting everyone's time because you're like, you start moving one way and it takes a bunch of effort, like a bunch of momentum to get people moving in one direction.
Yeah.
And then you switch directions and then it takes a bunch of momentum to steer everyone back. It just doesn't really work.
So it's, yes, for sure challenging to direct the talent into the right task to move forward with the with the company.
That was definitely a big lesson we learned. A hard way.
Yeah, I don't think I asked you, but would you mind explaining me your company as if I was a 2-year-old?
Yeah, sure. So okay, 3-year-old. We're really a very highly technical company, so
I know, and
I'll try my best. Pretty much, we deal with networks, like how things talk to each other. Right now, the way that devices talk with each other kind of sucks. There's, especially in companies, there's a lot of, it feels like in this day and age, and like we have AI, we have all this awesome stuff. Everything should just kind of work. You should have like, all your company's devices should just kind of be secure. They should just kind of communicate correctly. It's not that way. And so, especially teams that have hardware, teams that have workstations or things of remote accessing, they end up basically needing to do all this weird work to make everything work and communicate together. And so our goal is to just make that disappear and to automate everything. So for like smaller company, they don't have to hire some IT person whose job is to make everything talk to each other.
I see.
They can just do that all themselves. That's like the 3-year-old version.
Yeah.
Maybe like the 12-year-old version in this is that our key goal is for smaller companies to push back the data. You have to hire dedicated IT by taking like VPNs, firewall rules, all these systems that are designed with like the user having to deal with IP addresses, subnets, all this math pieces together, and make that stuff kind of just clock in automatically, so that the end users just think about like groups, who can access what, and then the IT stuff kind of just happens at
Right. That makes sense. I took a database class, and it was everything about the IT and how to build an IT for a company, and it was all with math kids. How is there like, wow, I don't understand anything.
Well, it's
Just so complicated.
it's no sense.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's something that's always kind of baffled me, and especially when I was at more telecom stuff, it just got worse. And it was like,
Right.
I don't, like, it doesn't make a lot of sense as to why we use this stuff. I think it largely comes from the fact that so much stuff is grandfathered in. Like, we have all this legacy in tech that we built things upon that all kind of happened by chance, and we haven't really reflected much.
But it has taken a step back and be like, let's just remake these.
Yeah, and we try, but it's like, there's a lot of, it's only been recent, I think, with some of the software-defined network stuff that we're working on, has really hit the mainstream to a point where it's like, the technology is possible to do some of this stuff. Because previously, there's like, companies that were trying to make things returns better for smaller teams. But then once people hit a certain size, you just can't do that anymore, and you end up having to work on these large incumbent companies that are like 2 of them, that kind of run it and kind. And then you are kind of trapped in their ecosystem. You can't like work with devices that don't fit. And one of these companies, especially on the not naming names, but on like the enterprise side, have certification programs. They have like certified engineering courses. So this whole system of Locket where like now you have professionals who have taken training to use a company's equipment just to do stuff.
And just a bunch of bullshit that is just
And
allowing ECUs of
that's on the top end.
Yeah.
On the end of like people in co-working spaces, smaller teams and stuff, it's just kind of like piece together a bunch of random junk to make something work. Like there's no coherent way to do things without like pulling a bunch of random little smaller programs and sticking them together, like sticking a VPN thing, sticking some remote access software, maybe sticking some type of directory controller, and then it's like you have like 5 SaaS blocks that you're trying to tie together to do stuff.
Right.
And then the second that you move out of your co-working insulated office, then you do it all over again.
Yeah.
And it just feels like that stuff should be expandable and scalable and not have to, you shouldn't have to keep re-solving the same issues over and over and over again, which no current system really allows for unless you're can like ridiculous amount of money for a company to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've heard from even smaller, like accounting firms that they have to have like a IT guy coming in.
Yeah, exactly.
Thing. I'm like, okay, they have like 10 accountants. You know, like,
It's a cliche, but this does this feel like it should work like this.
Yeah.
And so a big part of how we'll look at this issue too, on the more like our current product suite is largely designed for helping technical teams that have like, some like IT devices, maybe have like workstation, they to remote access those things, have their developers use that, and they want to be able to control like, which developers can access which devices and not have to worry about remote access and all that, all the inner workings may not work. So that's currently what we're doing. Kind of where we're heading with more software-defined network, because that's our larger vision, is that like realistically, if you think back to that accounting firm, they might have an office building and they're going to have all this hardware, Wi-Fi access points, network switches, all this crap. And then they take it with them and install it somewhere else. And it's like, imagine like in this building, if somebody would go up and go, okay, well, we're going to have to rip out all the light fixtures. Like it makes no sense. So we really envision a world where like the networking stuff belongs to the building. Like if you're at Ed and you lease a building, you can lease the networking hardware in that building and you can use software and deploy everything. There's no reason to ever change out physical infrastructure until it becomes obsolete. And like, you could maybe lease that infrastructure from a third party, like somebody else maybe down the road, or you could have them building owners on it, but there shouldn't be this defining line between how you implement networks and the hardware. You shouldn't have to like own both to control it. Where the way stuff sits right now, if you want to like securely a network, you have to own all the input in that network or else you have no control over it.
I guess that's why you guys are targeting first the co-working spaces, right?
Yes, that's why we mentioned that. Like right now, so our current product that's out right now is fully software-based. It's usable by any team. So we're kind of looking at like remote teams, hybrid teams, even in-person teams that need to control access.
Yeah.
But then, we're also working with co-working spaces because that's another example where these co-working spaces are kind of tripled by the fact that the space obviously has to own the infrastructure in that space. But all the people using that infrastructure now have zero control over the stuff that they're using. And so they have to submit, support tickets to IT. They have to deal with this really complex, convoluted way of setting things up where they should just have independent control, even though they're on the same hardware. So that's definitely a thing we're moving in that direction as well, and I believe the piloting a lot of.
Now I understand your business.
Yeah, it's really complex, right? Like, I mean, I think we kind of explain a smaller aspect by saying we build an IT platform for teams that make stuff easy. But the larger vision of it, how we move there, is like has a bunch of moving pieces.
Right. And it's pretty technical.
Yes.
It's good, I feel like that's what the world is right now. It's just a bunch of very good technical people helping the non-technical to just be able to solve things via click, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the end goal, right? Yeah, abstract everything away. So people that, even though, from what we're looking at, it's really technical, people never see any of that. They just see like, I want this device to connect to this and pop it.
They get the pretty UX.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good. Moving a little bit out of that topic, I think I've seen in the office a couple of books that you guys have.
Yeah, we have a bunch of random books.
What do you think is how good, maybe one or two couple books that you think has been like important in all your process, and what have you learned being all of that?
It's a really good question. I read a bunch of random crap, like a lot. Like I have a bunch of like random philosophy books and stuff. I think in terms of, it's interesting. I'm trying to think of like the books that have been most impactful for me personally. There's some. So right now, to be completely honest, I read a little bit, but like I have this stack of books on my nightstand that I haven't gone to yet. But I've been way too busy over the last few weeks. But probably the one of the most recent books I read that I loved was there's a book from the company Summit. They put out this thing called Summit series, and so basically it's a group of people that started a whole company around hosting events, bringing people together, trying to build connection. And they wrote a book about their journey. And so I read that was one of the ones I couldn't put down. Like I read the whole book in like a week or something, and it was just kind of super cool because it was all about like how do you build community.
I see.
And so that was one that I really found impactful. Maybe not so much on the startup front, but at the front of like, especially around Marley, there's so many cool people. It was like, how do you build this really awesome community and like foster a community where people help each other and innovate, get to know each other really well and build like meaningful connections as opposed to just like everyone goes to a networking mixer, has pizza and like a little bit of small talk and that's the end. So that one was really cool.
Gotcha. What's the name of the book?
I think it's just Summit. I think it's like, so it's Summit Co. is the company.
Okay.
I think the book's just called Summit.
All right.
Oh, no, sorry. The book is called Make No Small Plans.
I see it. I'll check it out for sure.
Yeah, that was really full on.
Okay. Great. And just to close off, would you give out maybe some advice to somebody that is trying to go into something technical like yours, or maybe in a program that is, well, something that you're doing right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a good question too. I think from going into a technical startup, like because we're kind of in this weird spot where we straddle between like some of what we do is honestly tech, like it's commercializing research.
Yeah.
A lot of what we do too is like SaaS. And so we're kind of in this weird space. And obviously doing deep tech is weird when you don't have like a PhD background, right? Also, I think from that perspective, the best thing I've ever found is just learning by doing. Like I love just kind of running straight out of problem and iterating on it until you figure it out.
Yeah.
And so that's largely what's got us to our point is just like start working on something, and once we get a roadblock, read up documentation, then keep going, keep building it. But I also think fostering relationships is really important. Like we started working with a bunch of people, professors at the university, and like talking with other experts in the field. And that's helped us so much. Because I think like if you're doing something really technical,
Right.
if you can foster relationships with people that have like a ton of experience and have done research and that really deeply understand the problem, that's probably the best way to be able to like tackle it and make sure that you are doing the correct things.
Yeah. Especially if you know that you're maybe not fully qualified to tackle a certain problem, you do need the collaboration.
Yeah, you need to have that knowledge because like there's certain, especially in networking, there's things where it's like we've pinnacled ourselves into this really narrow spot, but there might be something like directly beside us that we just don't see because we don't have that same background. And that's where going to some advisor and saying like, hey, this is what we're doing. Does all this make sense? And getting a little bit of feedback about like, hey, have you guys considered this thing that happened 30 years ago that we would have never thought about otherwise? It's super, super helpful.
So you're basically just somebody to just network the crap out of it, collaborate as much as possible. And, I feel like that's very important. You just...
Yeah, networking is like unbelievable. Especially if you're on the university campus, like you're surrounded by leaders in their fields, right? Whereas the professors, basically every professor that talk to you, you show up to their office. Like they just love to talk with people if you're actually genuine and serious, because like most of their office encounters are people who are complaining about their marks.
Yeah.
So they don't like to talk about their research or what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
And I think like if you're on a university campus, you should take full advantage of it. Because you're surrounded by like the top experts in the world. And it's amazing to talk to them. And then if you have student groups and like these types of things like Socratic on your campus where people are coming together to build awesome stuff, like by all means, never promote those people. And then future on in your career, you're going to like know all the best, coolest people that came out of your school.
Oh, that's true. I think something that has been very important for me is actually Radiant Velocity way more in depth, where I've met people like you and met other co-founders that are doing crazy stuff, that has nothing to do with what I'm doing. But then sometimes I kind of have a little problem with my business. Like it can't come down to like a e-commerce problem, something small that in my mind I'm like, I'm losing it. I don't know what to do. And I talk to a couple people that just go do something for me real quick. I'm like, wow, that's amazing, And sometimes they need my help to do something small too, It's just like a very good environment to be at.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I think being on a university campus, like I know if your podcast, you guys are also like folks that advise for university students, but I think that's something that's undertapped. It was just so many amazing resources.
Yes.
And if there isn't like a velocity tech thing, then like you could work to create one all day.
Exactly. Yeah. I've heard of people in other campuses opening kind of like their own entrepreneurship club and stuff, and it always works out.
Yeah, there's
Always thinking about it.
you have like 20,000 people on a campus. There's going to be like at least 10 or 15 people that are interested in the same thing.
That's true. Well, thank you, Alexander, for being here.
Awesome. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.